Good morning. I'm here with an overnight live feed update. If you don't want any BB28 spoilers, now would be your chance to scroll on. So last night, production did give the house guests a cell phone. Listen, it happens sometimes, for them to film some stuff for the social media team. Now, this cell phone is heavily locked down. They can only access the camera and the photos/videos like that they've already taken. When some people see or hear that, they kind of freak out and they're like, they're not supposed to get any information from outside. They're not. That's not what's happening. All of them, including Jason, participated in some different trends, record on the phone for the social media team. I'm sure we'll be seeing those on socials later this week. Overall, the vibe in the house is way better. On a personal level, it seems like everyone is good with Jason now, and he also feels the same about them. There is a group of people that were having conversations last night about keeping Jason because they do see that the house is separated to an extent, and they know that Jason is a good competitor that would be able to help them on their side. Their question is, can they trust him? So really the person leading the charge is Melody in all of this. And unfortunately for Melody, I don't know what it's going to take for Drew and Barrett to pick that side. But Drew and Barrett have both already routed out this plan to D. So I just don't see it happening, which it really sucks because like they had almost enough people on board to make this happen. This week, you're going to need 7 votes to not be in a tie. So 7 votes to make it happen. So they would have had, say Jason is still on the block. That means Mallory is not. So they would have had Melody, Mallory, Yosh, Lyric, Taylor, and then the 2 boys. But I just don't see the 2 boys sticking with it since they've already routed out the plan. But something that happened a little bit later in the night, if that information can get out and get back to Drew, then maybe things will change for a permanent solution. Angela was doing a lot of Drew spiraling last night, and she went up to Kamu and was telling Kamu a bunch of her reasonings for spiraling about Drew and not trusting Drew. And then she says that Drew was talking about targeting the red corner, and she said red corner specifically. Now, Kamu knows that Angela knows the name red corner because Haley told her. That's what Kamu thinks. There would be absolutely no reason for Drew to know that name, and he kind of like does get shocked by this information. And when she sees how shocked he is, she starts to kind of walk her story back a little bit. So depending on how Kamu interprets that, if he interprets it as she said too much and then she wanted to take it back like it wasn't true, if he tells Drew that could make Drew and Barrett ultimately flip, because they already question being on the bottom of that whole situation and question how close the icons have gotten to the 3 from red corner. So I do see potential here, and it is only Tuesday. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this information gets back to Drew, that Angela was hardcore throwing him under the bus last night, and that ultimately ends up being the reason that Drew and Barrett flip. Because obviously Jason can win Blockbuster and stay, but if Drew and Barrett don't flip, then that's the only way Jason stays. To where now, if Drew and Barrett will flip, the only way Jason leaves is if Lala wins Blockbuster, which, sorry, but the odds are unlikely of that happening. I'm just saying. Oh, here's an update on where it's looking like the vote is going for Time Capsule. We need to make sure that we are giving Jason as much votes as possible so that hopefully he stays and he gets the power. And here's the thing. Even if he doesn't end up with the power, if he ends up with a punishment, it is also a big tell to a lot of those people in the house that the fans voted for him. It will show that we are not Team Kamu, we are not Team Red Corner, And someone like Haley, who's really wanting a bunch of social media following, is going to spiral about it. So it sends a message, whether he ends up with the power or the punishment, him winning the vote is very, very important. Honestly, anyone but an icon winning the vote at this point is very, very important to send a message. But let me know your thoughts on all of this down in the comments. Do you think that we've got some potential here, or is it time to just say, Jason, win the blockbuster? Let's do a catch up of everything that's been going on in the BB28 house today. So unfortunately, plans have changed since the update that I gave this morning, where I had talked about Melody really kind of starting this push to maybe keep Jason and form a group in opposition to the icons and the red corner and that whole side over there. Like I said this morning, Drew and Barrett had already ratted out that whole plan to D. But Melody has had a change of heart. She can't get over some of the things that Jason has done in the game and just can't get there with the trust aspect of keeping Jason. You know, I understand her point. I understand her reservations, especially knowing that like Drew and Barrett aren't going to stick with it anyways. So we are back to Jason just needs to win the blockbuster in order to stay in the game. So make sure we're still voting for him. I do also think it is a good idea to throw some votes towards Drew for the time capsule, just in case Jason doesn't survive this week. At least it keeps the power away from the icons, and I think that is going to be kind of a slap in the face if D does not get the third one. Might be like a wake-up call of like, hey, America's not liking what you're doing. As far as the Drew situation, also unfortunately, Kamu bought into the whole Angela paranoia spiral. So now Kamu is not feeling Drew. Like literally everyone is questioning Drew. Yash over on the other side of things is questioning Drew. He's been talking to Barrett about how he's not sure how much they can trust Drew, and that like information that he has given to only Drew has gotten out to like Devins and Angela and different things like that. So Drew is in a bad spot, and he is very oblivious to the fact that he is in this bad spot. He is also part of the reason that Melody kind of changed her mind, and he's definitely pushing for her to stay on the side of voting Jason out. So all that to say, right now we are back where we started, but tomorrow's Waffle Wednesday. I don't know how much waffling will actually take place tomorrow. This all kind of took place earlier this morning, all of these conversations about Melody changing her mind and Kamu buying into the whole bit with Angela, and that whole side pretty much is like secretly turned off towards Drew. Devins is bought into it now as well. Like Drew is going to have a hard time next week if someone from the Melody Mallory side or him or Barrett do not win head of household.